Today's project on developing my campground, I gotta say it's been a little bit frustrating. When I built my house, I built it myself years ago and I did all the permitting and all that other stuff, filling out the paperwork, but 30 years ago it was a little easier than it is now. So I'm kind of waiting for getting my permit paperwork. I'm trying to do it myself again, get all my paperwork done properly to move the septic drain filled and where I want to build an outbuilding and whatnot. So until that comes through, I really can't do a whole lot of building, but what I've been doing, you can probably see behind me here, is a little bit of road that I put in, access road. This was, entirely wooded. You could hardly walk through it. Let me turn the camera around here. So that road down there, coming up this way is what is going to be an eventual road that you can actually drive cars up and through. But today I'm going to build trails. When people are on my campground, I want them to be able to explore the area. And if you look up here, it's really steep and thick and it's hard to walk through. So let me jump over this brush. So this is a project that I did the other day. Basically, it's going to be a walking trail and a quad trail. And I'm sure my son and I will use it for hunting. This fall, there's deer tracks everywhere. But those stakes that you see off on the right, those are the property line, and so I'm trying to make a perimeter trail. And I'm just staying on my side of the property and walking through my property now is much easier than it used to be. And it went a lot faster than I expected, actually, to get this far, even on the side of the hill. Tearing out small trees and brush, but creating access has been fun. Up here I stopped before going back down into the creek canyon because that may be a permitting issue as well. Okay, time to create some more trails. My excavator is sitting right there. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to go right down here. I'm not going to go too steep into the canyon. There's a creek canyon over there. So I'm not going to be right on the property line. I'm going to angle back towards the property line, staying on the top of the canyon ridge, and hopefully eventually I'll catch up to the property line that's higher up and then follow it right there. But this will allow us to explore the whole property. I was just going to look for the property lines and the markers. I'm all thistled up, my arms are stinging, I couldn't hardly get through the brush. This is really thick, but going through this with an excavator is a lot more fun. Turn it on, just start knocking stuff down, taking dirt from the high side, throw it to the lower side so you could scoot through. It's not super fast, but once I get it, it's a lot more fun to work through with an excavator or walk through behind the excavator than it was now. Just like I said, my arms are stinging from the thistles and blackberries just walking through this thick brush. Let's create a trail. We're getting real close at this point in the video to getting to the Tarzan tree. Haven't quite got there yet. The Tarzan tree is a really tall cedar with some unusual vines growing on it that looks like Tarzan could swing from. Hopefully in the next video you'll get to see the Tarzan tree. I've learned a few things since I bought an excavator recently. One of which is if you're going to push down trees, it is much easier to get on the high side of the tree, put the bucket against it, and roll the excavator down the hill using the weight of the machine and the tracks to push the machine down than it is to just try to use the boom. You get much more power by rolling the machine at it. One of the other things that I learned is if you're going to be cutting trail through thick forest, have your chainsaw nearby. I came down to work this day, not necessarily thinking I had a whole lot of time, but as usual, I got carried away and kept going. You can see the tree laying across the track there. The excavator can easily pick up that tree and move it, but with all the other trees around, it's hard to swing it and move it off. And I ended up having problems because I couldn't adjust properly, and I got to the side hill, and I ended up having one of my tracks come off because I was leaning side hill while trying to move the machine. Whereas later, when I came back and fixed the machine and cut it into small enough pieces to turn, the excavator could pick it up and move it. You can see I'm moving the tree in the background easily because I was on a level spot to move it. This tree in the foreground is the one that ended up causing me problems. The other very valuable lesson that I've learned in trying to build roads on a side hill is it's important to dig down that high side that's firm all the way down to where it's low enough that you're level with the low side. Even after you pile the dirt on the low side and then you drive on it, it tends to sink down and get lower. And the side hill, which you can see me doing right there, it creates pressure on the tracks sideways, and then that new loose dirt kind of rolls in there and can get in the way, and it can cause the track to come off. I've had this happen now twice since I've got the machine. It turns out putting the track back on is not that difficult if you're on a level spot, but if you are on a hillside like this and it comes off, it's hard to get to where you can lift the machine and put the track back on. Fortunately for me, one of my strong young boys, I have 4 sons, was able to come and help dig the area out underneath, so I was able to put the track back on, which my track came off right there. There he is, Jacob, my 3rd son. Thanks for your help, son. It was much appreciated. And thanks everyone for joining me on this video. Hopefully next video on developing Spring Hill, you will see me get to the Tarzan tree.